Welcome into the I'm not muted. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when we sign up for a new account. Get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo, AJ, Jesse coming at you after. Can we call that a hockey game?
Somebody tonight has to show up.
Damn. Did we start on time? I don't know. We might be a little late. So.
Well,
by the Avs standards, we're starting way fucking early.
When we get to decide when we start, there isn't an on time for us.
Got him.
I mean, like, for real.
I mean,
not trying to dunk. I'm just saying, like, we get to choose when we start.
This Avs apparently get to choose when they start too, so they just might have to deal with the consequences. Avs lose. The final score is 8-3 to Toronto. But like half of those goals don't matter. So the second period was fun.
Yeah, when it felt like a game for a minute.
Yeah. A good 10 minutes of quality hockey out of Colorado, and it was actually a hockey game for a second there. The first period was a disaster, and the third period, I mean, it was bad, and then they packed it in, and whatever. The last couple goals don't really matter.
Yeah, they happened.
Yeah. But, so where do we want to start? Do we want to start with JoJo or do we want to start with the defense? Because they were both not good.
They're intertwined.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't know if this necessarily is an answer to your question, but JoJo, I thought struggled all night. The D-core, I thought had in the second period collectively, I thought they were fine. The third period, I think that third pairing still really struggled, but your other two were kind of whatever. JoJo struggled all night, though, man. He struggled. We talked about it in here, saying, okay, cool, you gave up 8. Let's even be nice about it and say half of those aren't on him, right?
Sure.
Let's say half.
Sure, whatever.
Just for the sake of the argument. You still gave up 4 bad ones where he was getting beat clean. And all you're looking for out of your goalie is don't get beat clean. Give us an opportunity. And he just didn't do enough of that.
Yeah.
This should what we talked about on the pregame, this should put to bed any of the conversation of, is JoJo the new number 2? No.
Clearly not after tonight. I mean, you
can definitely make the argument he didn't get a lot of help. You can't make the argument that he deserves to keep the job over Pavel Francouz. Just based on general bodies of work as NHL goaltenders.
Yep.
Look, we need to see how Frankie is with the Eagles.
Totally.
If Frankie goes down there and he gives up a bajillion goals,
has a 700 save percentage,
he looks awful. Then we're gonna have a conversation.
And see,
if he looks remotely capable,
that's it.
He's defaulted as the guy. You give the guy the credit.
And that's my thing is I think by default, before he plays a game, you say Frankie is coming back as the number 2. And this game was a great example of why it's not that JoJo hasn't been completely fine. He's been completely passable as an NHL third goaltender. Yeah. He's been everything you want out of, again, a third goaltender. That's what he is. I was texting my buddy who lives in Toronto tonight, and we were joking about that. He's your third goalie. What do you expect against one of the best offenses in the league? That was honestly pretty on par for what we expected.
Yeah, and look, he kind of shit the bed tonight, and that happened. This
third
happens. Goalies are inconsistent. That's the world of third goaltenders in the NHL.
The big thing is that there's a large pool of guys of the Jonas Johansen, Hunter Miska, pool of goaltenders who are pro caliber goalies. They might even have long careers playing in North America professional hockey between the ECHL and the AHL. There's a large pool of those guys. And some of those guys are really, really lucky that they get a couple of looks. Yeah, what was that?
My bouncing leg.
They get
one extra real hard bounce.
Yeah, I guess.
That they get a couple of looks in the NHL to prove here's your moment. And if there was ever a Jonas Johansen moment,
this was it.
Tonight was it.
Yep.
And It's not to completely disregard everything he's done in an Avalanche uniform.
And he's gotten a lot better since he's gotten here.
And like we started off with this show just saying, look, he's been fine as a third goaltender, as a guy that fills in when your backup is hurt for a month. The fact that Frankie strung together his injuries makes the whole JoJo thing a little more complicated.
Yep.
But ultimately, like, we're expecting Francouz to just be a competent NHL backup. Yeah. And there's a level above where Johansen is that we're expecting from a Francouz. And it's not a knock on Johansen to just say, look, this guy just isn't capable of handling this kind of role. And look, you pick your spots to play backup goaltenders. Remember when he got the Columbus start and everybody was like, why is he getting the start randomly in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
It was against a weaker opponent.
Right.
You pick your spots against weaker opponents to play your backups. If you go through and you look at backup goaltender logs across the league, you're going to see that they're playing second nights of back-to-backs, or they're playing against the worst team or the lesser team
or whatever,
on a back-to-back. They play the worst team on a road trip. It's full of
leave that comment up there for a second.
It's full of dregs of the league. Like that's the role backups play. Jonas Johansen starting a 5-game road trip in Toronto against a Maple Leafs team
about 2 hours before puck
that is
drop.
really good. Like it's a bad spot for everybody to be in. They didn't respond well, but it was also, this is a show me moment for Jonas Johansen, and we learned that when Frankie is healthy, the Avs need to show him the door. Yep. And that's
JoJo, not Frankie.
And that's okay, because he can go down with the Eagles, do his thing, and if there's an injury that crops up, then
he'll be the third goalie still.
He goes back to the third goaltender role, where if Frankie and Keumper are both healthy, we don't think about Jonas Johansen
so
very much.
I go back to the Miska thing.
It's okay.
From last year, how everyone was so upset with him after that one game. And it's like, look, you're talking about a guy who's not an NHL goalie. Like, Hunter Miska is not an NHL goalie.
So
yeah,
and so it's like,
and I talked about this last year. Hunter Miska's 5 starts of any goaltender with at least 5 starts going back to 1990.
Like the worst ever.
Hunter Miska was the 3rd worst save percentage since 1990 among guys with 5 starts. Jonas Johansen is not in that position.
No. But again, it's just
they're not comparable. Hunter Miska was a much bigger problem.
Yeah,
and this isn't directed to you. This is just an Avalanche conversation.
And I was more just using it as a parallel of like, look, you can't be mad at guys when you're asked, hey AJ, go outside and do 3 backflips in a row. It's like, I can't do backflips, so how are you going to grade me on that? It's the same thing.
I mean, the thing with goaltenders is, particularly in a game like this one, is extremely visceral when you have a goaltender who is not going to live up to the job, put in a situation where the dude got 0 help tonight. Let's be real.
The guy, he got 0 help early in the game, and it looked like it. With. And then the team responded and climbed back into the game.
Yep.
And the game, the goal that changes this game, the goal that really breaks the back of this game,
100% on him. Sure.
Is the 4th goal that makes it 4-2. That's the one that when that goal happened, all the life came out of the Avalanche, and it undid all of the work that they had spent. Look, they stole one at the end of the first period to be down 3-1 going into period 2.
Yep.
Where it was like, oh man, you have to, those are sneaky goals that come back to really haunt teams. Ones that where a team thinks they're getting out of a period, and then the other team steals that momentum and builds off of it really quickly to start the next period. That's exactly what Colorado did, because the Avs came out at the start of the second period, only down 2 now, absolutely flying.
Yep.
They make it 3-2. They're dominating play. They are outplaying the Maple Leafs hard. They're taking it to them, and they make it 3-2. And you're like, oh baby, this is a hockey game.
Yep.
And to give up that goal, that 4-2 goal,
the way
that it was in this, how it happened so quickly after the 3-2. The kind of goal it was, like, in just, it's totally deflating. It just emotionally just crushes you.
Yep.
And it's such a bummer. But like, this is not a case of the Avs completely 100% hung Jonas Johansen out to dry.
I don't think it is.
But it's also, when you look at how the 3-0 lead got to be, not a lot of help in front of him.
But that's
not a lot of help.
Even with not a lot of help, at the end of the day, the job of a goaltender is to be the safety valve. He's the guy who's supposed to stop the puck.
He's the
when
guy
shit
who
goes wrong
erases the
before
mistakes that happen in front of him. You know, hockey is such a team-oriented game that it's really easy. It's a thing that we do. It's a thing that we're doing literally right now, where we're kind of like, oh, well, look at all the mistakes that happen before the puck even gets to the goaltender. What can the goalie do? You know, Bowen Byram makes a god-awful decision to try and go give support over on the blue line, leaves the entire middle of the ice open.
Yep.
They lose that battle, and Willie Nylander walks in with all day to shoot. That's a really dangerous guy with a wide open look who makes a nice shot, and JoJo's not even close to it.
Yeah.
So you're looking at both of them, and you're saying he's not. Johansson was not competitive on the shot. Byram made a bad play. It's two problems. They're both true. They compound each other, and you just can't have. That's how you build a blowout loss. Is that problems compound each other, and you don't recover.
And I was saying it during the watch along. You'll never hear a player say it publicly, you know, in an interview. They'd never say anything to Johansen. But you know that when that fourth one went in, there was a lot of guys that threw their head back on the bench. Like, dude, we were starting to give you the goal support that you need.
You don't need to be a body language expert to know that just took the wind out of the sails.
Yeah.
And maybe you could have a problem with that emotionally, saying, well, they're only down 2. You know, but they had just spent so much energy getting it back to within 1, to see that then turn around and completely undone.
And that's
it's just the emotional part of it.
Yep.
It's tough.
Yep.
Like,
and
that's a really hard sell.
That's the type of stuff where, again, you have to, when you spend as much time watching, it's not specific to hockey, you know, sports and stuff like that. There are things that go on kind of below the surface level, and that's one of them, where it's like, yeah, you're still technically in this game, but you just fought for the entire second period to get back in the game, then to have it switch on you that quickly, it's just like, holy smokes, that's really tough. There was a comment that came across the screen a second ago that was talking about how did the Avs lose to Toronto worse than teams the Avs have beaten. And, like, that's just not how sports work.
One game is one game, dog.
Also, there was another comment that was saying that we need to get rid of me, and I'm here all night, baby. I'm here all night, all week.
Who has? You have like a 2-year contract.
Yeah. I'm here for the next 2 years.
Yeah,
so.
the next approximate 730 days, he's gonna be here, pal. Whether you want to be or not is up to you, my guy.
Mustache and all.
I will.
You're gonna grow it the whole time.
Bro, it started as a joke last year, and it started as a joke in April of 2020.
And that's all you got.
I've shaved it a couple times. I've started over a couple times.
You mentioned that's how. You mentioned that's not how sports work,
right?
And I think it's a good point, because of all the great players in the NHL, who has the highest points in a single game over the last 15 years?
Erik.
Oh no, it's hold on.
Oh no, it's Sam Gagner.
It's Sam Gagner.
Yeah.
Sam Gagner had an 8-point night
and a 32-point season. He got 8 of them in one game.
Right, like that's just how sports go.
Yeah, and I mean that's what we love about, in my opinion, this game specifically, more than a lot of the other professional leagues. There it is. That hockey really is, especially during the regular season, on a Wednesday in... thanks, guys.
Yeah, he also rolled in with the shoes, and I was like, "Did you lose a bet?" And
no, I go with the full. I go very dark colors up top, and like I said, I put these on. I was like, someone will green screen these, and will give us 2 funny days worth of content.
Yeah.
Thanks, you hear? I need you too. No, but you know, like hockey.
It's true. Erik going into his office to grab things that he needs for work is blowing our production value. Damn it.
Thank you. I think the shoes are dope as hell.
I think Vans are great. I just think that you look like you're wearing big ass highlighters on your feet.
I know. I got an orange pair too. Vans outlet though, I paid like $19.
Yo, outlet stores are where it's at. If you can,
you gotta find a good outlet though.
If you can grease the security at the Nike outlet in Vegas, you're in the money. That place is a treasure trove of high end shoes for reasonable prices.
Yeah, for reasonable.
I mean, it's Nike. And so you roll into a Nike store in a mall and it's like $250 for shoes.
Yeah.
You go to the outlet store and you're like, that's $45 for, I don't know shit about shoes, but they're like nice. They're like nice, right?
Thanks, Alyssa, again. She was complimenting them early on. But hockey, you mentioned it, I think, at the start of the third period on the live stream, Rudo. Ottawa overcame a 5-2 deficit against Toronto last year. That doesn't mean that Toronto was suddenly the worst team in the league last year. It's like, no, they lost. We say it all the time. There are two teams of professional hockey players on the ice.
Yeah.
On a lot of nights, one is much better than the other, skill-wise, stuff like that.
For sure.
But these are still professional hockey players that are in the top 1% and 2% of all hockey players.
When you talk about the two teams on the ice tonight and you look at the offensive talent, these are two teams that would not be able to ice NHL teams in the middle of the Olympic break.
Right.
Because all of their players are going to be playing for their respective countries.
Now,
these are two of the two most loaded teams talent-wise, top to bottom, in the NHL. Like, there's a ton of firepower.
Yeah.
So the fact that they combined for 11 goals, not as big a surprise.
Yeah.
That 8 of them went to one team, probably more of a surprise. But again, like, you're talking about, this is what makes a third goaltender a third goaltender.
Yep. And I was going to say, that does not excuse the fact that the Avs did not play well enough for large chunks of this game.
Absolutely, man.
But
you have to help him out a little bit.
Right.
You have to know.
All right. We'll talk about that in a second. All right. We'll get there. I know y'all want to go in.
Should we just start celebrating really hard until he's done?
You should be bat flipping this whole segment.
Someone give me a fucking bat.
Hit up Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. God knows you need a beer after that hockey game. So jump on that. Go drink yourself some down here at the bar or find it at your local liquor store. Use the Breck Beer Locator online to find that. AJ's still just staring at me right now.
Can't fully appreciate it from up here. Yeah. That's an amazing look.
You just gonna keep going?
Are you done?
He straight talked to the hand at you too. He even like motioned like, okay, stop.
So if you're locked in like AJ is right now, maybe get a snooze mattress to help yourself sleep so you don't have to think about me all night. It's just staring at it, playing it over and over again in your mind. Snooze Sleep has their 4-in-1 mattress, the firm, soft. You can flip the mattress for whichever you prefer. And then you can flip the mattress cover for hot or cold, up to a 10-degree difference. So get over there. They're a Colorado local company too. Hit up Snooze Sleep. Get yourself the best sleep you've had in a very long time. Hopefully I'm not sleeping 6 feet under tonight. All right. Go ahead.
So Erik Johnson just has to be better, man. Like, if
did you watch the post game?
No. As a veteran dude that is playing, that is going in there, and look, the Avs are only asking him to be their 5th best defenseman, realistically. He's their 5.
Yep.
So,
and
he has to be better. And I want to also absolutely say this. Bowen Byram's probably worst game of the season that he's played.
Tonight?
It was bad. Sure. The first period was brutal.
Big mistakes all over the ice. 2 penalties, one of which I don't think is a penalty at any level.
Got away with a blatant trip at the blue line.
But point is, I don't want to feel like just because I started at Erik Johnson that it's a singling out and he's the only one that needs to be better.
The whole defense is bad. But
his low level right now is brutal. It's really a net negative, and his best level is don't notice him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's all good and well. You can't change anything about how much money he's making. You can't change anything about the salary situation that you're in and blah, 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 blah. But you need to get better out of that guy. Yeah. He might be the number 5 or whatever, but he got outplayed by the number 6 by quite a bit tonight. And that's a big problem, is that right now the variance in Erik Johnson's game is too much.
See, and I agree. And it's not, to me, like you said, You can't do anything about this. Isn't the NBA? You can't
You're
restructure.
not allowed to play emergency goalies like that. You are only allowed to play them in an emergency.
We'll talk about the situation in a bit.
You just can't. You can't be like, oh, he's giving up 5 goals. Emergency goalie, go in.
Yeah.
He has to be hurt. He has to be incapacitated.
Can you imagine? You're getting bodied and you call your timeout and you bring JoJo over and you're like, we need you to fake an injury so we can play the e-book.
Well, it's like if they didn't have, like, say if Annunen didn't get there in time for the back-to-back tomorrow, you would seriously consider something like that if you thought you had to play JoJo.
Maybe.
But because Annunen got there in a timely manner.
Now I think for sure Annunen.
Then you don't worry about that. But anyway,
so,
I'm just saying you can't do that.
Real quick on wrapping up on EJ. One of the things I was so upset about the other night with him isn't where his ceiling is. You can't do anything about how much you're paying him. He's on the decline, obviously. His ceiling is his ceiling. It's how infrequently we are seeing him even play to be invisible. He's not even getting there.
Well, and you're a third pairing defenseman, right? And the Avs did end up in quite a few situations where
What'd you just call me?
You should be thankful I'm calling you a third pairing defenseman.
I am wildly underpaid.
They ended up in situations tonight where Toronto put their top line out against the Johnson and Johnson pairing quite a bit.
Yep.
And if you're Erik Johnson, like, rules number 1 and 2, if you're on the ice against those guys, it's like, oh, dudes I should cover. Number 1, Auston Mathews.
Or anybody in front of the net. How about that? How about anybody in front of the net? Play your position. What was that, the 4th or 5th? Or the 5th goal?
He's wandering out after Tyson Jost into nowhere. Yeah.
Right, covering nobody. So he's covering exactly 0
I think
people.
he was headed over to give support to Jost along the wall, and Jost lost the battle.
That's not his job.
Well, he lost the battle immediately.
Right.
And so there was no sense of urgency. There was no sense of awareness of where anybody was around him.
And he just
I'm telling you where I think he's going and what he's doing. But he puts himself in a bad position where you're just like, dude, this, I always make this comparison. He's the low level Rocket League player just watching the puck.
Yep.
And who just the guy who just drives around because he's following the ball with his eyes.
Never actually hits the ball.
And doesn't come close to doing anything and is always in bad position. That's exactly what that was. He was the bronze Rocket League player who was just following the ball. But there's no backflip at the end. He was just following the ball. And then it ends up behind him and he's out of position. And his guy's like, oh, well, this is free.
Yep.
Because JoJo gave up rebounds left and right.
Yeah.
Pucks are just bouncing off of him. And, hey, that's a lot of gear to try and figure it all out, right? You need a little bit of help, but also, like, JoJo needed more help than he got and didn't do a lot to help himself. And Erik Johnson was a primary culprit and they didn't do a lot to help him. And then you had the Mikko Rantanen and Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, this is where I want to go.
The third goal, Auston Mathews is by himself.
Yeah.
And you watch how the play develops. Because we watched it live and we're like, what?
Why is Auston Matthews alone in front?
What happened here?
No one within 10
feet.
You watch the replay. You see both Taves and Makar take guys.
Yep.
And you see both McKinnon and Rantanen drift into space. They were spaceships with no power.
Dude, they were two magnets that had opposite poles, and they both went.
They both looked like, if you go back and watch it, Nate, I think, even points to Matthews in front, and they both looked like they thought the other guy was going to cover him, and nobody did.
Well, and after 3 weeks of Mikko Rantanen playing center, this is where I was wondering how much they might have a communication breakdown, how much they might have a lack of clarity on responsibilities in that situation, which guy's supposed to be doing it. Mikko, stop. Go back to being what you've been and let him go back to doing what he's doing, because very quietly Nathan McKinnon's become a competent defensive center over the years.
Yeah.
Even though he's always had a little bit of extra help on that side of things. But that was a situation where it's like, he's your center. He should be taking your center responsibilities. There shouldn't be this kind of a breakdown. This is on Mac. He needs to go do that. Mac needs to make that play. Mac needs to take that guy. That's the opposing center. Like, this is an easy, like, everybody paired off.
Yeah.
And Rantanen took nobody. Mac took nobody. And you're even wondering, why is Rantanen here?
Yeah, and that's a significant portion of that is a conversation that you have well before the game has started.
Yeah,
right?
and I guarantee you that's one of the goals that they spend most of their video on tomorrow, where they're like, whoa.
Yep.
This is best on best, and we just got eaten alive in this matchup. And, like, look, you're not asking Jonas Johansen to stop an Auston Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, of course that's not on JoJo. Yeah.
And, like, I would love for Johansen to literally do anything other than, like, get in the crouch and then, like, follow the puck with his eyes.
Yeah.
Where you're like, it's nice that you found a puck you can actually track, but this wasn't the one to just sit there and do nothing. If there was ever a time to try a poke check.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Anything, yeah.
Like, literally anything would have been better than, I'll just let him take all the time that he wants, pick a spot, and then make me feel bad.
You think there's any Avs goaltender? You don't think Parkila gets goalies into this system and goes, never poke check after Grubauer?
After Grubauer. I don't know, man. Maybe Gruby just loves the poke check and he's just an auto, like, X. But he just can't help it. But I just, literally anything would have been, he just didn't do anything, man.
The thing is,
do
like,
anything.
It
He
wasn't,
just sat there.
It wasn't just like, oh, he didn't do anything on the Matthews goal. There were 2 other goals where the puck's within his reach.
Yeah.
And he's just looking at it.
We're burning down Erik Johnson because he leaves what's-his-face open in front of the net. And the Trader of Swine picks up the puck and has it freely. And again, JoJo follows it and does nothing with it.
Yeah.
And it just gets beat. And it was just like, dude, a poke check. I'm not a goalie. And I always feel like I come off like an ignorant asshole when I talk about goals given up. But, like, I think that you could probably say, hey, something is better than nothing in that case. Because positionally...
For the first Matthews one?
You're not... For that one, for the JT goal on the rebound, I think it's the 5th goal.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he just starts getting beat clean in the third period.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're blowing
and you're like,
pucks
look,
by
dude,
him.
these guys are just beating him all over the place because he's... At this point, he's getting shelled. He knows it. He feels bad about himself, and it looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This is, someone said in there that Toronto media is going to talk about how much further ahead the Leafs are than the Avs. This is a game, it sucks because they didn't play well enough for at least half of the game. You could argue much more than that. They've just got to be a little bit better. I think there's going to be a handful of things that the coaches take out of this one and say, you got to start on time better. You can't do this. Like you said, I think they'll pull the Matthews first goal. Here's the 50 things wrong with this one and go over it in film. But other than that,
this game to me is the epitome of, like, there's a reason you play a 7-game series in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's because it erases games where a team just completely shit the bed, like this one.
Yeah, I mean, game 1 against Vegas.
Yeah.
right.
Totally.
Game 1 and going the other direction, whatever, the Vegas had a blowout in that one too.
Game 4.
Yeah, where it's just like, cool, you throw those 2 out because they offset each other. When, again, this stuff just happens, man. Like, it's not a big deal.
I made this joke yesterday. The Avs, because I said on yesterday's show, the offense always goes in a lull at some point, and it's usually called December.
Yeah, you did say that.
We have, like, at least 4 super chats. We got to get to those. Oh, God. All right. Let's go. Thank you for the support. We appreciate you. Jesse, what are those? I'd rock them. Go to Seahawks. Need sunglasses, man. Those bright.
Yeah, I know.
Was it about this? It's not about the Seahawks.
It's not, but
It's just about looking
It
like
does
a
fit.
highlighter.
It does fit.
that's right.
He just really wants people to, like...
He wants people to
Green
appreciate
screen
the
'em.
light that he brings into all of our lives. That's all it is.
Green screen...
Thank you. Yeah.
Jonas Johansen's reaction to the 4th goal onto Jesse's shoes.
Or put Eustace Anadin's face.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Or the shell-shocked, oh my God, this is the team I have to play behind tomorrow.
If you were watching the watch-along, just Joey Bats flipping bats the entire show on his shoes.
Just every time it comes back into the screen,
just flip. Next up, Billy.
Is that the greatest bat flip ever?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it KBO?
I mean, KBO has some insane ones, but, like, as a moment...
Okay.
That's the
Are you
biggest.
which one are you talking about?
We agree. Joey Bats. Jose Bautista's bat flip against the Rangers in Toronto.
I figured that was what you were talking about because dude, that got me fucking jacked up.
Every team gets blown out when their third goalie plays like shit. Trying to draw conclusions about how the team is awful is just so. Yeah, I mean it's one game. It's one game that was shit. Yeah. The defense played awfully.
Just for perspective, the podcasts that don't exist for the opposing teams, the Avalanche have been laying waste to for the last 3 weeks. Have been doing this exact episode after all the games against the Avs.
Right. Well, the Nashville bounced back and crushed some team the game after, right?
Yeah, and
they're like, Avs game was an aberration. All right? This is just it's part of the season. You go through it. This is why, honestly, both Toronto
in that Nashville game. It wasn't UC Saros. This is my point.
I can't remember his name. Yeah.
This is why, especially for two teams like Toronto and Colorado, regardless of the outcome of the game, both teams are like, "See you in May, dude. Like, see you in the playoffs. Yeah, let's see what happens."
Like, I'm sure Toronto they won big, so I'm sure they're feeling good. But like, there's no way they're sitting like, and that's what'll happen every time we play Colorado.
Any fan who has watched more than 1 week of hockey knows better than to think that Toronto's going to win 8-3 every game against Colorado. But
they might if JoJo's in that. Well, I'm kidding. They wouldn't.
Even then,
like, seriously,
then they wouldn't. Yeah,
like, they wouldn't.
Now, if Hunter Miskin was in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if you're going to start pulling ECHL goaltenders and putting them into the mix, then things get real weird real fast.
All right. Thank you, Billy. Next. Dylan, on the bright side, Nichushkin is now the guy who shoots other people's sticks into goals.
That was awesome, man. Yeah. The last time I remember seeing that was in Vegas when Zadorov shot Carrier's stick into a puck.
It happened last year. Berkey shot Nuke's stick into a puck last year.
I missed it. I don't remember.
I remember it well. Recollection of this. I remember it well. It happened. So now the buck has been passed. Now Kadri will have to shoot Makar's puck into a puck or something.
Dude, his exploding stick.
Yeah, what happened
was like the exploding stick of all exploding sticks because it happened and all of us were like, dude, whoa. And even he was like,
he stopped watching the play and followed it.
And then like as the play was going on, that thing got such hang time that it was legit like a solid 2 or 3 seconds.
Did it come back to the ice or did it go into the crowd?
Yeah,
it fell back on the... Okay, I didn't know if it
on the ice. There was nobody around it, and Makar just turned around and was like,
"What?
Dude, what?"
Yeah, we were like mid-conversation, I think, and I was like, what just happened to Cale Makar's stick? Like,
that was wild.
Next, anyway. Thank you, Dylan. Sasha, look, I know it's one game, but Johansen should not be an NHL goalie. Holy crap, much love DNVR.
The floor is real low for these guys.
Yeah.
When you put him in a position, look, if you get blown out and you give up 8 goals to Detroit, you give up 8 goals to Ottawa or Arizona or something, dude, you have a real problem. But it'd be in the Maple Leafs on a not your night.
Yeah.
And so had the Avs lost 8-7, then it's like, yo.
Make one save.
It was 8-2.
Yeah. Thank you, Sasha. Vaguely Sober says, feels more like Avs fans and the Avs themselves got high on their own supply.
You know, there's a really common criticism after wins that players start reading their own press and you start feeling good about yourself and this and that. Like, and sometimes it's true. Like sometimes you get cocky and you get complacent. You start taking shortcuts and things like that. But
tonight didn't look like that to me.
To me also.
Like, this just felt like a shitty game.
It felt like another game where they had a slow start, which is really becoming a talking point. Like
sure,
a real problem here that they're not getting off to. They're not getting out in games impressively enough and competitively enough, really, is what I'm trying to say. But I don't feel like this was a...
Sorry, 8-3.
They were feeling good about themselves, you know?
It felt like they were a little bit out of sorts defensively and they couldn't get a save.
You need a save or two sometimes to just
settle in. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the other side. Jack Campbell made a couple of huge saves on great scoring chances.
That could literally change the game.
Every goal has the opportunity to change the course of a game. Emotionally, momentum is a real thing. And like when you just don't get that save and then you end up like they make some big mistakes, but also they got nothing from Johansen along the way.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, it was a problem that compounded a problem.
Yep. I think that's a perfect.
Thank you. Next. Some of the worst daggers tonight were the lazy, listless, lackadaisical clear attempts on the team. Absolutely.
This is true.
It's not just the clear attempts.
The first period was the worst part.
It was the most damning part of the night for me for EJ was when he was in a puck race that he could have won back into the D zone, and he just stopped skating.
He stopped skating, and he
just
cutted it.
He just stopped. And I forget who it was, but the dude cuts in around behind the net, and so now EJ's behind the play and chasing it. And
that was for the second goal, right?
Yeah,
Spezza,
and it's just
the eventual goal scorer.
You
cannot do that and expect to play quality hockey.
And I'm not going to dive fully back into it, but that's the type of stuff where, like, EJ can't be doing that.
Yeah, you need better. When we talk about commitment to details, it's not nonsense. That's an example.
Yeah, right.
You need to take the extra stride. Go in, put a body on that guy. If he doesn't have the puck, then stick with him. Put a stick on him. Mark him. Do something.
Well,
don't just let him freely roam about.
And the other things,
he's just like cattle grazing in a field, and you're just like, okay, we'll see you in a bit.
Right. Well,
what? No, brand that motherfucker.
That's why that's tough for me is the other one you're talking about. You're like, okay, here's the thing EJ was seeing with Jost on the other side.
Yeah.
And he comes up and it's like, all right, so here's a wrong decision. Here's something you can take and be like, if you had made this decision differently or you'd altered your decision making after the fact, there's a solution to this problem that is you can think about in your brain.
Yeah.
The solution to the problem of not going and getting the puck is just try.
Yeah.
Like, just go get it.
Yeah.
Like, there is no complex answer here.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, this one wasn't complex. Again, we make so much of how hockey is random and this and that, but a lot of it boils down to very simple, basic principles, which is why the hockey cliches exist.
Yeah,
because if you live and die by those principles and you adhere to them every single shift, you are more successful than not.
Yep,
you're Logan O'Connor,
and you just let it go from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tonight they just weren't committed to the little things. They weren't committed to the details. They weren't committed to the to the little things in their game that they really need to be on top of, staying high on pucks. And they weren't very good in their reloads. They were really, really, really poor in the breakouts. Systemically, they were really poor in their tracking. On defense, especially, their tracking was really, really bad.
Yep.
Their handoffs weren't any good. You had guys falling off and just open players just freely roaming about. And when you have that many breakdowns, it's not one guy. It's just a team that mentally has not shown up to play. And yet, we're talking about this. It was 3-2 in the second period because the Avs blitzed them so effectively. They stole the goal at the end of the first, blitzed them at the start of the second, that they were back in the game until that back-breaking goal.
Yep.
And that changes it all. And that's where it's complicated because, again, you don't play well in front of JoJo at times. JoJo doesn't help himself. And you end up, like, every mistake ends up a goal. And you look at the 8th goal, the Pierre Engvall goal, as a great example of this.
Yep.
That's a great example of this. That's not a dangerous play.
Right.
That's not a real scoring chance. That shouldn't be in the back of your net. And if it is, it better be because one of the elite guys on their team beat you.
Buried it.
Not freaking Pierre Engvall.
And the other thing that with everything that, in addition to what you just said, that we haven't even mentioned once, that win made Toronto 15-2 in their last 17. Like,
good.
They are rolling. They're doing everything right. They're,
Is it not the most Toronto thing to peak too early?
Oh, 100%. That's that we'll save that for the game in February or January, whatever it is. But when you're playing a team that is feeling as good as Toronto is, and they are doing a lot of those little things, and they're finding as much success as they have, they're committed, they're bought in. The Avs looked.
I feel like Toronto wouldn't even tell you they did the little things tonight. Like, Auston Mathews is going to go into his post-game presser and be like, I don't know, I went to the front of the net and nobody covered me. I scored.
And you know that they're going to, and again, it's cliched and stuff, but they're going to sit there and be like, yeah, we know we're not going to get that every time.
Yeah.
And I said it in that third period, to me, and you guys both disagreed with me, which I totally get why, it didn't feel like an 8-3 game to me, just because like I didn't think after that first period that they played that poorly. It was just every time Toronto went up the ice, especially in that third period, they were just throwing stuff on net and it was going in. It's like this game, it was more competitive than 8-3. I'm not saying it was close. I'm not saying the Avs were right there, but they were for a moment. I mean, and then it just all rolled downhill.
They worked their way back into it. They were building a comeback. They were doing all the right things. They had engaged competitively. They had done everything necessary to get back into it. And then that's where the simple adage of you just need a save comes into it. Like you just needed to not give up that goal.
Yeah.
And look, maybe chances are pretty good just given that he was clearly fighting it and wasn't playing particularly well. But he was probably going to give it up eventually somewhere along the way. Like,
didn't have.
But it just that it came when it did really like opened up the door for this to get out of hand at the end.
Because even had it come, if they had tied it up and then he gives up a weak goal, well, it's only a 1-goal deficit and you just climb back from a 3-goal. You can, but when you just had to work your ass off to get within 1 and now it's 2 again, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, chat, whenever it comes, make sure it's looking good. Manscaped. Get 20% off with code DNVR. You get the perfect package 4.0. You got to keep it looking good, all right? You never know. You never know when a Jamal Murray situation is going to happen.
Oh my God.
You know, I was looking at pictures of Jared Bednar for a thing that we're working on site-wide right now. And it was funny to me to go back and look at the pictures of him a couple years ago. High and tight.
Yeah.
And now he's hanging loose. You're talking about keeping that shit high and tight.
Indeed. Exactly correct. Whether you're a silver fox or a spry young man, either way, Manscaped's got you covered for whatever you need. It's also got things like body wash and shampoo and conditioner, so it can take care of you top to bottom.
Like ball toner.
They do have ball toner, yes. They have some deodorant as well for
cologne.
Your nether regions. Cologne. They've got breath mints. I mean, whatever.
They give you old newspapers that have fake Manscaped-related headlines for their shaving mat.
There you go. So whatever it is, Manscaped's got you covered.
They're
top
only
to bottom.
$1, so it's totally just like it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, these are, practically speaking, these are actually useful.
Hit up Strava Craft Coffee as well. You can get 25% off when you use code DNVR25 with them to maybe start your day on time, unlike the Avs starting games on time. So it'll be your morning coffee. It'll help with the aches and pains, whether it be joint pain, IBS, other things. Okay.
Whoa, that was like a cackle.
Anything for the neckbeards? No, we're just screwed eternally. Sorry. Destined forever to be on poorly shot shows.
It's the life. It's the life out here. If we're on a poorly shot show, maybe it's a great time to check out something like DNVR Bets. Because if you're going to watch a poorly shot show, you might as well make some money doing it.
Yeah, you might as well. You might as well shoot your shot on a poorly shot show.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, it's the way it goes. In any case, go check out DNVR Bets. If you want to make money on DraftKings. The Avs betting for us has actually been doing pretty well lately.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
the Nathan McKinnon dump from just outside of the blue line that ended up on net was the fourth shot and got us all money tonight. All of us put money on that shit.
I actually have the player props, which I normally historically stay away from. Ever since they really expanded it from beyond goals and stuff like that, power play points, assists, shots, dude, those are on a lot of nights. It's just free money.
Yeah, I cashed on Mathews tonight.
I mean,
Mathews the over and McKinnon shots on goal pay for everything.
If you take out your Avalanche fandom in the chat, you saw JoJo was starting and you're like, I should put money on Mathews. That wasn't a deep thought bet for you there, AJ. It was just an obvious one.
It's true.
Nothing against JoJo, but Matthews,
Definitely something against
one of the
JoJo.
best goal scorers of our era of hockey. So, yeah, Anyway,
He'll go down as the greatest American goal scorer of all time at the time he retires.
Yeah.
The next great one might have already
who's the best American goal scorer right now? Pavs?
Hole.
But right now.
Oh, you mean active?
Yeah.
Matthews?
It's already Matthews.
You mean is it
Are you saying like
most number of
statistically?
goals?
Yeah.
I don't know how many Kane has.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
It
because
might be
probably Kane.
someone
Goals,
just-
it might be Pavs, but Kane is dominating in points.
Points or goals. One of those fell last year. I'm pretty sure someone.
I know. I mean, it's like Kane is going to probably own all of them by the time he's done.
Yeah.
If he doesn't already. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that Bednar said after the game that they were going to decide later who starts. It'll be Eustace. You don't.
You
don't leave JoJo in there to wear that and then play him tomorrow.
Agreed.
You just shattered his confidence, all for the express purpose of playing the kid tomorrow.
Yep.
Play the kid tomorrow.
If they weren't going to play Annunen tomorw, they would have.
They put him in.
They would have pulled
him.
JoJo.
Certainly after that fourth goal, you'd have put Annunen in. Like
you only do that to a goaltender because you're on a back-to-back and you're making that call right then.
I mean, if you had
this
any aspirations of trying to make this a competitive game, you could not leave JoJo.
It is
in
Patrick
after the
Kane,
fourth
by the
goal.
way.
Yeah, okay.
He does have
most goals and most points by an American
active player.
Active. Yes.
How many goals does he have?
Would you like to guess?
425.
473.
410.
Wow.
I didn't think Pabs had him, or I didn't think he had Pabs by very much.
He was a long
guess
way
on
to go to get
Pavelski.
to 500. He just scored 400.
just scored
I was going to say
Yeah.
it's 401 now.
Yeah.
So he's only ahead of him by 9. Future Av Phil Kessel 394.
Yeah.
He'll get to 399 and then he can score 400 in the Avs jersey. Perfect.
Beauty.
He's not going to get to 400 if he stays in Arizona.
That's what I'm saying. The one final super chat here was that JoJo or Miska net.
It was JoJo.
Yeah.
The pads were boring, so you could tell.
You want to know what would have happened? Because I've had people be like, "Is that the worst goaltending performance ever from a numbers perspective?" And it's like, had they left Hunter Miska in against Anaheim in
he'd
that
have
game
given up
last year,
12.
or he gave up 4 in the first period, you would have seen history. That was going to be 14 against you. Like that was going to be a forever. People outside Colorado, like he got the mercy killing that JoJo didn't get because they're in a back-to-back right now.
Yeah.
JoJo would 100% would have gotten pulled had that happened. And I can guarantee you, because I remember when Grubauer got the start in Arizona a couple years ago when I went down there to cover that game on the second night of a back-to-back. And I think it was the first night of the back-to-back. And Frankie joined them, and I asked him at morning skate, why not Frankie? And he's like, well, he just traveled. And Frankie finished that game.
Yeah.
Because Grubauer should not have been playing in it. Got lit up, got pulled. The Avs had that huge comeback. And then Brad Richardson's weak-ass wrister from just inside the blue line.
Oh, my God.
Beat Frankie, and he got the loss. He got tagged
I
with
just
that
had
loss.
like a PTSD.
Yeah. I was in the building for that game, and I was just like, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
No one knows what happened to Darcy or how long he will be out. It's
Yeah,
a literal
nothing on
mystery.
Darcy.
Yep.
We have no idea what's up with Kemps. Let me ask you guys. Long-term injury, you hit that trade market immediately,
you
right?
are.
Yeah.
If I presume the Avs know what it is, and if they haven't called, if it's a long-term thing, if they haven't called every team in the league by the end of tonight, they're fucking up.
Who do you call? Just
This is exactly what I'm going to ask.
who do you call? Who's your first phone call?
What's the how do you prioritize?
So are we saying long term done for how long?
The
Season?
year. Yeah.
It's done for the
Let's
season.
I don't want people to think that I am speculating that he is done for the year.
Yeah, again,
this is just a thought exercise because they got blown out tonight.
There's a phenomenal chance he plays on
Right.
fucking Saturday or.
Well, I won't say a phenomenal chance,
Well,
but it exists.
in terms of the fact that we don't know anything,
exactly.
he's just as likely to be done for the year as he is to play on Saturday.
This is purely just me being curious after a game.
If you want to win hockey games, you don't go get Matt
no,
Murray.
not Matt
That's
Murray.
for sure.
Do you call Anaheim?
I might call Seattle and be like Chris Dreger.
Oh, really? You wouldn't call about Grubauer?
No.
Would
Okay.
you?
I might.
No, with that deal. It's too,
No.
it's too tough.
There would
But-
be conditions. There would be there's retention involved where the Avs are
Damn,
much more
wouldn't
comfortable.
that be some shit? If they got Seattle to eat
2
2 million,
million?
2.5.
I was gonna say $1 million or $1.5 million, and then they were like, "All right, we got this 29-year-old who was the Vezina final, and
Now we're
we know
paying
he's
Groob the
comfortable."
4.5 they wanted to pay him in the beginning.
Yeah.
and like he gets his money, and then the Avs get like
that would be one of those things where like Joe Sakic would just have that like in the Grinch cartoon when his hair's curling on his head.
Not with the price paid for Keumper, because that will always be egg on the face in that story. But I'm just saying. So I'm curious. So your phone call is Seattle.
For Dreger.
Your phone call is
It's shitty that they're off to a good start, because if Anaheim was doing what we thought they would be doing, I'd call on Gibson.
Okay. All right.
But I don't know. What about you?
Vancouver.
I mean, they're in tank mode at this point, basically, right? So
Someone put Fleury up there.
Yeah, I'd do that too. That's not to say that Vancouver's the only call I'd make. It's the first call.
I'm saying they should be calling every team.
It would be. I mean, I would call Washington. I would call Chicago. I would call obviously Vancouver. I would call LA.
LA's another one. Yep. Seattle.
Yeah, we would call about different guys.
Well, that's what I guess my point with that is like one phone call you can have So what about Grubauer? Okay. What about Dreger?
All right, the long con. You call the Islanders about Varley.
Oh, I would definitely do that. Yeah, no, not even a long con. I mean, just the way that the world.
I mean, I'm saying it's a long con for the Avs to bring Varley back.
The way that the world is kind of shaking out for everybody here, like,
Could you imagine that? How fucking awesome that would be, just from a storyline perspective. There, worst case scenario, 10-bell alarm. Dracy Keumper goes down. You go and trade for Semyon Varlamov, and he comes back and wins a Stanley Cup in Denver.
yeah,
God, I always wanted them to win one with him. I love Varley.
yeah.
All right,
He's awesome.
so let's bring it back in as we're kind of wrapping up here.
Yeah, we're already like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Read that graphic.
Nazem Kadri did
happen.
cool stuff in Toronto.
Good. You know what's crazy? First game back in Toronto.
Yeah,
Since the deal.
despite
He
it
gets
being
traded
2.5 years
3
ago.
years
Yeah.
remaining on his contract, and he finally gets to go back to Toronto in the final year.
And he does cool stuff.
And he has a 2-goal game.
Yeah. He also had like 4 hits, 4 shots. He was doing stuff and things.
Yeah, that might have actually been 5 shots by the end, but I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Actually, it definitely was, because when we first did the graphic, we said 1 goal, 4 shots.
Yeah, but did he really shoot that 1 goal? Really?
Yeah.
It's weird. See, this is why analytics being based around shots is funny, because you're like, tips aren't shots.
Yeah.
Kadri's first goal, he didn't shoot that thing.
It did hit his stick.
It hits his
but he didn't
stick,
shoot
but it's
it.
like,
Yeah.
hey, he's getting a shot on goals. Oh, did he go back to Boston? Did he go back to Toronto?
I don't think he did. Did he?
Another random goalie thought. I know he's
I was wrong. My bad.
I know he's still undecided on what he's doing. Do you call Tuukka Rask's agent?
Oh, he signed in Boston today.
What?
I'm pretty
I mean,
sure
that
he
was
signed.
always that he was always going to do that.
It was
Well,
only ever
well,
Boston or bust.
well,
so.
and
But I thought, I know he'd been skating with them. I thought he signed today.
if he did, never mind. But I had a feeling that he was probably Boston or nothing. But if you're sitting there at home, unsure of what you're doing, and Joe Sakic calls you, you think about that for a second.
Carter
You know what I
Hart
mean?
out of Philly. Come on, guys. Philly's not giving Carter Hart up. New Jersey's not giving up McKenzie Blackwood. Like, those young guys, I'm shooting for the moon with Thatcher Demko.
I don't think he signed.
No? Okay. See, Breckton says he did.
Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's really irrelevant, because he was never leaving Boston. The real question is do you call Dallas and ask about Ben Bishop? So my dream lives.
God.
I know Rudo is so sick of me talking about this, But Ben Bishop, I mean, you make that phone call and ask, hey,
is Ben Bishop dead?
Well, you call him and you just ask, how's he doing? And if they're like, he's dead, then you're like, all right, bad call. In that case, enjoy the sunny weather. F you.
I guess. I mean, if
Rask
I think we're speculating way too deep on a thing where we have no idea what's going on with Keumper.
Chat's asking about Olmark in Boston. Like, I guess that could be a
no
conversation.
Thanks. I'm good.
Do you call about Craig Anderson?
Oh my
god. That's how you know I'm done.
He is not officially signed, but he is practicing with the team.
Okay.
All right. Other cool things that happened. McKinnon made a dope pass.
I have no comment on Martin Jones.
No one does.
I do, but that's not nice.
That
was a joke.
What do we think of McKinnon's first game back?
I thought he looked really, really good at times. I think the timing is still off. I think that there was some rust. Defensively, I had more issues than I normally do.
Sure.
Picked up 2 assists.
I think offensively he looked dynamic and scary like he normally does. And I think that he looked way more relaxed than when he was right before he got hurt, when he was pressing ultra hard and you could feel the negative aura coming off of him that was permeating to the team around him, that nobody wanted to say anything to him because they were like, this dude's about to snap and shoot up a post office kind of thing. Like he had some seriously negative energy before he...
Agreed.
And I think I think that was all gone tonight. I think he was just out there playing hockey. Now, if they get into a rut and they're losing games and he's not scoring again, we'll see. Because I do think that was one of the things that was a catalyst for them playing better hockey, was that they were playing without kind of that elephant in the room.
Sure.
Like... Because it's one thing to have an elephant in the room, and it's another thing for that elephant to be really angry the entire time. And you're kind of just tap dancing. You're walking on eggshells every time. Constantly living. We've all been in bad relationships. We know what that's. Well, I guess not really.
No.
Most people have been in bad relationships. You know what it's like to walk on eggshells around another person that you're just you're just, oh my God, this is going to be bad.
Oh, you're talking about our relationship. I see.
Wow. Damn. If that's how I make Rudo feel, that sucks.
Are you a high school sweetheart person?
Yeah.
You were talking shit to me earlier about phone calls, 8-hour-long phone calls.
Did you guys talk on the phone a lot?
All the time.
My point exactly.
But you know what? We don't need to go down this road. Let's just keep moving. Let's just keep moving.
Congrats.
In any case,
I'm not trying to hurt any feelings.
Look.
Yeah, Spencer Knight's available. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Ooh. I mean, if he was actually available,
that's where you do something irresponsible.
Yeah,
like straight up, I'm trading Bo and Byram for that.
What I saw someone threw a comment about put EJ in net. You can't do that because then EJ would throw pucks at himself and they'd go in.
Dude, he shot 2 on his own.
Yeah, that was wild.
JoJo doesn't get credit for those things.
Yeah.
For the old stat boost, as EJ fired 2 pucks on him.
Numbers look a bit better, stopping him from 6 and white.
The first one, it was like, this is weird, and then he did it again, and it was like, does EJ...
the second time you're like, I know what's going on here, but wow, this is not what that's supposed to look like.
I know what you're trying to do, but you can't do that twice in one shift and get the benefit of the doubt on it.
Well, and it's like so I used to do this thing. I used to take my high school sweetheart's hair ties and I would just shoot them in her general direction while she was working on her laptop. And I was like good enough aim that I could get it close to her but not hit her. And then one time I got her right in the eye.
Oh.
And that was kind of EJ shooting on JoJo tonight. He's trying to give him the puck to cover, and it just goes a little poorly.
Yeah.
He misses just a little bit. It goes a little awry, and he full-on shoots on him.
Yeah, the second one wasn't like he missed it a little. The dude turned and like whipped one into his pants. Like,
yeah, a great, that should be your highlight for Avs not helping themselves tonight. EJ shooting on himself.
But... At the end of the night, the Avs take a blowout 8-3 loss, but the overarching concerns of this game are super duper minimal.
Yeah, look, tomorrow They have a get-right game against a bad team in Montreal that's going through massive organizational turmoil.
Yep.
We'll see. If they come out with the same kind of effort to start the game tomorrow, then you have a bigger problem on your hands.
Right.
And
For
you
sure.
have a different conversation because now it's starting to look like you're a bad road team.
Yeah.
And, I have a really hard time making like a strong conclusion like that at the first week of December.
Bad.
But, yeah, I mean, okay. Like I said, should not get any more chances in the NHL.
Yep.
And what, the point, I'm just going to say this real quick. The point I was trying to make when I turned into a robot is the allegations about Evander Kane are the only ones that we know about.
Right.
We don't know what we don't know. And that's not the kind of guy you give the benefit of the doubt
Imagine
to
if a
privately.
team had claimed him and this video comes out.
Right. And they are just
they're
sitting on
screwed.
the full boat of that,
Yeah.
of that contract. Yeah. So, anyway, we'll see. Whatever. I don't know anything about that situation, though, so I don't really want to get...
Yeah, right, same.
I really don't want to comment on it.
It happened...
Just,
so we'll talk about it if it's worth talking about it on Friday, maybe. But
yeah, so, Ruda, I don't know that you were here for, but Megan's going to be on the show Friday, talk Eagles with us.
Sampo.
We're going to talk Sampo. We're going to talk Frankie, who's now a much bigger topic because that dude might be doing a conditioning stint and becoming Colorado's #1 goaltender next week. So important, what went from these are important games, these are intriguing games, went to these matter a whole lot. How Frankie does,
yeah, for different reasons though, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll look if Kemper's out for a week, then it's like, okay, no big deal.
Yeah.
But
anyway, just to confirm, we all expect Annunen to start the game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yikes, dude.
It's gonna be what it's gonna be. You expect the Avs to figure it out, but to be honest, even if they lose this game against Montreal, if you look at that 10-game section that we start to look at, they're 7-2 in this 10 right now. The Montreal game, they either go 8-2 or 7-3, 7-2-1, whatever. Job done for this 10-game stretch, kind of regardless of the result tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Sorry, I just watched that Evander Kane video, and it's
great.
not great. So I was, but yes, no, I agree. We talked about that on
After the,
was it?
I don't know if it was the Dallas loss
Yeah,
or the
we talked about it
Nashville
recently.
win.
Where
Yeah.
look, we were saying you really got to up that number to 14, 15 for every 10-game segment, 14 or 15 points for every 10-game segment, instead of 12, given how your first 10 games went, and you're for the most part getting that job done in this 10-game stretch. So,
You can add some gravy if you win
Right.
this game in Montreal if you're Colorado. But
and you'd like to see them bounce back because I do believe that is a sign of a good team. Cool. You had a bad night. You had an off game. You had some built-in excuses. Don't lean into that. Just go out and take care of business the next time you get an opportunity. And thankfully for the Avs, it's about 24 hours later. So go out and take care of business and you're fine.
Yep. Short-term memory, as always in sports. If they win the game in Montreal, everyone forgets about the Toronto game real quick. So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, however you consume the pod. Be sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Do the stuff. It really helps us out a lot. We'll be back tomorrow. Pre-game, post-game, the whole dizzle. You're not into the 90s rap talk?
I just wasn't expecting it. I just wasn't expecting it.
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Until then, we'll talk to you later.